Hello, amazing viewers, and Happy New Year as we have officially started a TSAM Inspirational TV. Welcome to the maiden edition of Inspirational Portal at TSAM Inspirational TV, where we delve into real life challenges that meets practical solutions, where we share valuable insights, success stories, and experiences by great personalities. And today's guest for Inspirational Portal is a business strategist, innovation strategist, business expert model, and also the founder and team lead of Not Hub, who has empowered startups to collaborate with entrepreneurs and business leaders to fight and also solve pressing issues. Thank you so much for joining us in today's program. We are elated to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Benga, we are aware that you're the founder and team lead of North Hub. So please, could you briefly give us more idea of what North Hub is all about and what is their impact to the society?
So we're basically a catalyst within Northern Nigerian startup and tech ecosystem, where we sort of incubate and upskill talent and founders in under Nigeria, bridging access gap, primarily access to networks, access to mentorship, access to funding, as well as access to opportunities that exist, as we know, in other climes, the West and East, but we don't have that within the Northern region. And that's primarily what we're doing. We're starting off first by being primarily stationed in Zaria, Kaduna, and so we intend to grow across all Northern regions. Our primary niche, as I like to say, is fresh grads and people still within tertiary institutions, which from statistics shows that that's 20% of the ecosystem in Northern Nigeria. And for us is our own way of saying catch them young, because that's almost the fresh place to get people who are not worrying about paying bills or worried about what they need to go home with. I mean, everything, because you are still in school, almost everything is being taken care of. And so you have the ability to boldly explore and take risks is still there. And so those are the people we're primarily targeting, as well as ensuring that we nurture them properly.
Oh, thank you. You mentioned something about ecosystem, which means you're an ecosystem enabler.
Yes.
So
yes.
with that, your journey of innovation strategist as an innovation strategist and business expert is quite inspiring. So on this note, what moment or experience shaped you into ecosystem building and entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship, I would say I almost grew up with it. My mom, of course, was a teacher, but she was involved in diverse kinds of businesses, from farming to sales, retail sales. I mean, name it, anything to ensure that we don't just depend on salary. She's taking care of 5 able-bodied people, and so anything. And so I grew up with that. Generally, I saw myself always thinking towards that direction, even though my first degree wasn't in that. But I always ventured within business until I stumbled on the notion of entrepreneurship. In terms of ecosystem building, it spanned from having been involved. So my love for entrepreneurship pushed me knowing myself. I love to help people generally. And so how do I convert that passion or that heart with merging it with entrepreneurship? And so I ventured into venture capital, and venture capital space, quite interesting, but I discovered it wasn't something I was passionate about, just for the money sake that is involved in VC. I wanted to be involved in real getting the hands dirty, starting from scratch. And that's where the idea of ecosystem building came about, and that's how I ventured into it.
So which means you talked about your background, your mom was into farming, and so which means you've already had the understanding of entrepreneurship, but you did not understand the term yet. So which means as you are born into the family of, not based on salary, but you had the knowledge, just didn't know the right word that was given to it as entrepreneurship. Now with that, there are many aspiring entrepreneurship who struggle with ideas on how to turn them to sustainable businesses. So what are the key principles for such people who want to become great entrepreneurs so that they can be able to scale through and create an impact for themselves?
The first I would say is start. Just start. I say failure is not a bad thing as long as you are failing forward. So it's almost the most important thing. Don't wait till when everything is grandeur before you begin. And so just start, one. And two is knowledge is progressive. And as long as you are hungry to learn, I mean, you never stop learning. I think on my bio on Twitter also, I put student. And primarily it's because I believe till I die, I'm still a student. I'm still learning. And so start, no matter how small it is, no matter how foolish or the idea doesn't look grand, or just start where you are, start with the resources you have. I tell people that capital is not the reason why you haven't started. It's because you are not resourceful. And so if you use your resourcefulness, you start. And two, keep learning, keep iterating. You will never ever get the perfect fit at the initial, but once you start and keep learning and expanding, you will learn to scale. You know when to scale, you know how to scale. And I mean, sky is just your starting point.
So in all, the first principle is to start.
Just start.
So capital should not be a hindrance to you
No.
becoming an aspiring entrepreneur. The first step is to start. Thank you for that. Now, you are the lead founder of Not Hub.
Yes.
And so far you have empowered so many startups. So obviously, when you are starting something, definitely along the line there will be challenges.
Yes.
So we want to know the challenges you faced and how you overcame them, because a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and people who are already entrepreneurs may be facing similar challenges as well. So with your experience, could help them navigate those challenges and prefer solutions to them. So please tell us.
Like I said earlier, failure is not bad. Just fail forward. Don't remain static and fold your hands. And so, as on the entrepreneurial side, I can say I have failed. On the Not Hub side as well. For the Not Hub side, our first event was last year, August 10th, and it coincided when they did the End Bad Governance protest. We didn't plan that the End Bad Governance protest, it's a date we had set a long time ago, and so we had to shut down. We couldn't do anything. Monies had been put into place for all of that. And we had to, one of my guests flew in from Lagos, was already in Abuja waiting to travel. So, I mean, that was just the scenario of things. But, I mean, what did we do the next? We said, okay, let's take a break. We come back again. October, November, December, we did webinars. I mean, we never had a plan of doing webinars. We wanted to do physical events. But because of that setback, as you can see, we evolved into doing webinars and was quite successful. We're able to help a lot of founders and as well as talents within the system to upskill, get entrance into boot camps, get certifications, and all of that. For as an entrepreneur, I mean, my first venture into agri, I failed woefully. I even had to borrow more crops to pay off because I was involved with a company where they give you seedlings, more as what farmers know as inputs.
Yeah.
As long as you have a particular plot of land, based on that plot determines the seed, and at the end of harvest, you have to give them X number of bags. We did that. I mean, it was wise, no problem, but we didn't harvest, and we had to give bags back to the people that have given us. And so I had to borrow money from another place to pay. But I have learned over the time, I would say. I mean, the amount of land now that I have with me as in the agri space is nothing compared to when I started. And that's because of learning that I have learned from that same failure. And so I would say, don't be afraid. I mean, you learn. It's still a learning process. I mean, there's no human being that doesn't have scars. And anyone that doesn't tell you his scars, I always say run away from that person. And so it's that you learn from those scars and not to make the same mistake. You now know what not to do again. And that's just the experience of life.
Okay, so the takeaway from the challenges that you experienced was basically more of failure, but you didn't allow that to set you back. Right?
That a child fail when he's trying to walk does not mean you stop trying to walk again.
Because so many people will get demoralized after their first failure, second time, third time. They'll begin to think, are you sure this is not for me? Are you sure I'm not supposed to be in the corporate world? Is entrepreneurship for me? And all of that. So with your experience, it will really motivate people that everybody goes through the same challenge, but you should learn how to pick up from your failure failure and navigate and then get back stronger on your feet.
True.
That's so amazing. But with speaking on that as well, there's this strong point on resilience, because resilience, I believe, is what fuels the journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So while you are going through this experience, there is one particular setback that I'm sure that struck you, that made you, are you sure I'm supposed to continue this? Are you sure I'm not supposed to just forget about not hope? So what's that particular setback that challenged you, that made you to shake and say, this really, really hits me, and I believe that this entrepreneurship is meant for me and I'm supposed to do this to impact people?
For not hub, we're still looking for it. Let me use that word. I don't say we've passed the stage where we won't find it. And primarily is because the things that I would say should have shaped that kind of experience, I had experienced it from previous times. So our first event, few weeks to the event, everybody who was a sponsor pulled back. Everybody who was a partner pulled back. And that's not the first time. I've been involved, I had an event management company, and I know what it is to do events, and every promises is now on wet tissue paper and they are falling. So for me, for that, probably because I've built a tough skin over time, and that's from my entrepreneurial experience. And the year that farm thing happened was the year my restaurant was broken into, and everything. The only thing they left was just the space. Literally. The restaurant was bigger than this, so it's twice the space that we are in. So they took every single thing. Was that same year my partner in the confectionery store that I was running decided to relocate every single thing without me knowing. So I mean, at that point in time, I'm asking myself, this business that you want to become a business mogul and say you so, are you sure that this is what you want to do?
Sure this is your calling.
You understand? I'm just go and look for one job and just, you know, that at the end of the month, you are guaranteed that money is going to come, wait for promotion, and just grow like that at the end of the day. But I would say answering those questions reinforced the belief that there's no other thing that you want to do again in this life. You are not made for that kind of thing. One. Two, is just an experience for, like, my own Bible would say, is that he is moved with our own infirmities. And so I have to be moved with the infirmities of the people I'm calling to be. And so probably the entrepreneurial experience is not for me, but I'm to be moved with this experience so that when I face the people who entrepreneurship is for, I'll be able to tell them, you know what, I've gone through those same experiences, and this is how I was able to pull off from that space. Which is the reason why I went into ecosystem building. Is that one of the things I realized that was most important is a community, a space where you know that this is your failure, it's not only you, almost see my own, but we did here together. We're still building, and we're still in this thing. Like you said, resilience. It's part of the journey. It's part of the stars you put on your shoulders and say, this is how I got into this place. And that's why I've learned from those experiences, and I'm doing what I'm doing today.
So in everything, despite the challenges, all the viewers should know that they are not alone in whatever they're doing.
The one that you went through, there's someone that has gone bigger than that. And he has moved on with his life. And not even, there are those that have moved on and never did it, quite frankly. But there are those that have moved on and did bigger.
Yeah.
The difference is that everybody decided to make the same decision. Don't be static.
Okay.
Just move.
That's so amazing. Now we've come to the high points of this interactive section with you. Now we want to move beyond startups, entrepreneurs, and all of that. We have people who do not just want to venture into entrepreneurship, people who want to venture into corporate world. Just generally, what encouragement or advice do you give to such people who want to start something? It doesn't have to be your field, ecosystem, or anything. They just want to start something in life and they are confused, especially the young graduates, those coppers. You know, people who have been jobless and they are demoralized in society. Some of them are even thinking of going suicidal. So what sort of encouragement would you give such people to start something? How should it start? What kind of encouragement will motivate them to start somewhere?
Validate your whatever idea it is that you have. Ensure that it is a valid one. We have the tendencies as humans to live in our own community in our head, where what is going through your head is the best thing compared to sliced bread. But when you go out there and are trying to implement it, you realize that it was all fallacies. And so it is important that you validate. Even if you want to work in a corporate space, validate that that space is right for you. Validate that there is a me fit with the organization. There's a me fit with the career path or whatever it is that you want to do. So ensure that that validation is there. And I'm not saying seek for external validation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, do you fit into that thing? Even if you are not sure, yes, depends on what place. Risk is important, so you still have to take that risk at the end of the day. And two is knowledge is important. My people perish because they don't have knowledge. And so go for knowledge, seek. The world is now a global village. Reach out to 100 people, at least one person will answer you and point you in the right direction that you should go. And as long as these two boxes are ticked, the next thing to do is just put your feet in the water, and that's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you. So in everything that has been said today, that our takeaway package is that the number one thing always is to start.
Yeah.
Because you cannot sit at a place and expect everything to work according to how you have envisioned it. So to our dear viewers watching us all over, we believe that you've understood the principles of entrepreneurship. Someone who wants to go as a startup, somebody who wants to venture into other fields. Our strategist and brilliant Mr. Benga has told us how we should not, remain where we are. We should not be static, rather start. Even if you're experiencing challenges, face the fears and rise. Because one thing is, at a stage you will get to where you are supposed to be. And on this note, thank you so much, Mr. Benga, for joining us and for sharing valuable insights. We have understood to a great extent what entrepreneurship and outside entrepreneurship is all about. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying there. And I'm still your host, Priska Iwendi. For more information on TSAM Inspirational TV, you can log onto our website at internalcast.org and also send us a message, our email at tsaminspirational@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye for now.